Hey guys, Dev and Jen here, and in today's video we'll be showing you how much it really costs to travel as we spent almost 6 months traveling throughout Southeast Asia. So we'll be sharing everything from our realistic budget, money-saving tips, and some unexpected expenses that you should look out for. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for the most recent updates. Due to the pandemic, we had to cut our trip short, so we're back home in Canada now. But once everything gets back to normal, hopefully this video will give travel lovers an idea of what kind of expenses to expect. So let's get to the video.
To break it down, we'll go over 4 main categories. So number 1, cost of living. Number 2, flight tickets. 3, attractions. And number 4, unexpected expenses. So for cost of living, it depends on where you currently live and which destination you plan on going to. The resource we find extremely useful is nomadlist.com, where it shows you the cost of living in all countries. And we use this tool as a guideline for creating our budget. Our home is in Toronto, Canada, which is considered a pretty expensive city. And it shows here that the average cost of living is around 3,000 USD a month. Since this website is US dollars, which is the most common international currency, everything in this video will be US dollars to remain consistent. Now let's take a look at some Southeast Asian countries. As you can see here, there is like Canggu, Bali, Palawan, Philippines, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. You can already tell that they're all significantly lower. We slow traveled in Thailand and Malaysia specifically to cities like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, Krabi, and Kuala Lumpur. So we'll be sharing our expenses based on our experiences in both countries. At the end of the video, we'll be sharing our budget sheet of our 1-month stay in Thailand and our 1-month stay in Malaysia to share our estimated versus actual expenses. So make sure you stay at the end of the video.
The cost for our accommodations were very similar between Thailand and Malaysia, where we spent an average of $450 a month. Now we mainly stayed at hotels versus Airbnbs because we found them to be a lot more affordable and convenient. The price we paid for standard hotels ranged from $10 to $18 a night. Most of them were pretty clean and standard, but if you travel a lot, you'll definitely get a few bad ones, like this one where a rat chewed up Deb's shirt. The most we spent was $35 a night for a 5-star hotel with beautiful views. We also stayed at this modern Airbnb for $35 a night, but if we were to do it all over again, we would probably stay at an Airbnb for longer stays, like a month, to avoid the inconvenience of hotel hopping because, trust, it can cause a lot of burnout.
To be honest, we never cooked at all because 1, it's extremely time consuming, and 2, it's so cheap and accessible. In both countries, food was so delicious.
So good.
We're on a workout plan right now because we overate so much.
Anyways, we set out a budget of around $350 a month, and that was honestly more than enough to try everything that we wanted to. So it can range from as low as $1 a meal all the way up to $15 depending on where you eat.
Street food is the cheapest and can range from $1 to $2. So if you're on a budget, this is what you'll want to eat most of the time. At the night markets, which are usually started around 6 p.m., they have the most fresh and authentic food, and you get access to the whole variety. They have an abundance of exotic fruits, drinks, and pretty much everything that's mouth-watering. Even the wet markets have food for the same price, and it gives you an amazing experience to see some of the local ways of living. We also ate at the mall food court pretty frequently, since it was almost as cheap as a street food, and can range from $2 to $5 in both countries. With mall food, you obviously get the benefits of air conditioning, a place to sit, and using your credit card.
Both Thailand and Malaysia have high quality food served in their restaurants with amazing service. But I really love how Malaysia has more international cuisines. There was not one restaurant we didn't enjoy. If you're health conscious, they also have healthy food alternatives in both countries, and they taste amazing. Also, tipping in restaurants is not required as it's included in all the receipts. Trying all the drinks, exotic fruits, and dessert is a must when traveling, and there are unlimited options in this category. Everywhere we went, there was something to choose from, and both countries had a very big coffee and dessert culture. Spending habits for food can be hard to control, and if you're one of those people who loses track of what they spend on food, a really good tip would be to try traveling with a limited amount of cash every day, so it forces you to stay on budget.
For transportation, we averaged around $80 a month, as we did a lot of exploring. Thailand and Malaysia have a similar public transit infrastructures, where it costs around $1 to $2 one-way tickets depending on your destination. We used Grab most of the time, which is their equivalent of Uber, and on average it cost us $2 to $4 per ride. Thailand has an additional transportation options, such as riverboats in Bangkok, an experience to try if you want to escape the crazy road traffic, and it's super cheap. The fare ranges from 30 cents to $1, depending on where you want to go. They also have these songtos in the northern and southern parts of the country, and songtos are trucks that are the cheapest and most common way for solo travelers to get around, and it only costs around 60 cents per person.
For supplies, we set aside a budget of around $30 a month to buy things like toothpaste, hair gel, sunscreen, mosquito repellent, and medication. And most of them were pretty cheap with the exception of sunscreen, which was really, really pricey. And trust, the amount of mosquito bites and sunscreen we got were not pretty, so stock up.
We paid roughly around $35 each for our travel insurance. We went with Safety Wing because they're the cheapest option and they have pretty good coverage.
Yeah, they're also the most popular amongst travelers.
Yeah, because your health is your #1 priority and you don't know what's going to happen.
And we'll provide a link to Safety Wing down below in the description box, just in case you want to check them out.
When traveling, internet is a must for us, so we budgeted around $20 a month to have cell phone data. To get a SIM card, you can literally find it anywhere, so it costs around $9. And with it, you get unlimited data for 30 days, 4G network, and it costs $9 to top up every month. So pretty affordable.
So before we left for our trip, we bought a 6-month multi-entry visa for Thailand, and it cost us around $180 each. Now this option gave us the most flexibility to travel around, but you do have to do visa runs every 60 days. As for Malaysia, you don't need to buy a visa in advance as long as you're going to stay there for less than 90 days, so that's pretty awesome. A travel rewards credit card is also extremely useful when it comes to redeeming the points for the cost of your flight, because that's exactly what we did and it helped us save so much money.
So much.
Yeah, so if you already don't have one, I'd highly recommend looking into it. Also, if you'd like to see the specific amounts we spent on our flight, we've included it in the budget sheet at the end of the video.
Attractions can be pricey, but they're not necessary. Anything that's touristy comes at a hefty price, but again, if you're on a budget, you don't have to do them.
And we treated ourselves to quite a few Thai massages because like how could you not? They're so freaking cheap and so good.
Yeah, so we set a budget around $100 a month, and we're gonna share some of the ones we went on to give you an idea. When you're traveling for long term, there's always these unexpected expenses that do come up. So make sure that you have emergency cash on the side for these types of situations.
Yeah.
We budgeted around $50 a month for this. One of the unexpected expenses we incurred was for my luggage replacement. I initially took an old 2-wheel carry-on, but the wheel broke during our trip, so I had to buy a replacement. I upgraded to a much better 4-wheeler that I bought from a department store for $60. I'd highly recommend bringing a sturdy carry-on, as the roads are pretty rickety in some areas.
In Thailand, they charge a tourism fee of $10 per ATM withdrawal in addition to the foreign ATM fee from the bank, so I'd highly recommend to withdraw money only when you absolutely need to in order to minimize the fees. As for Malaysia, they charge a tourism tax of $2 a night in hotels, which can add up the longer you stay in the country.
Lastly, we didn't expect the pandemic to hit, which cut our trip short. It raised the flight tickets back home to $2,000 each, triple the price of what it would originally cost. Luckily, our travel medical insurance safety wing is currently processing a refund for this as part of the global pandemic coverage policy. But make sure you got that extra dough for emergency situations.
Now we're going to give you a simple overview of our expenses for a month in Thailand and a month in Malaysia. We set a budget of $11.50 for our monthly expenses, and the amount we actually spent did not exceed it in both countries, which is a huge accomplishment for us. Here's a graph illustrating the different percentages of where our money went. And here's the section on how much we paid for all our flights. So we know that there are some budget travelers who love backpacking, and then there are some luxury travelers who love the bourgeois resorts. But we wanted to be somewhere in the middle. That's why our expenses reflect our decision to travel more comfortably. And to keep in mind that all these numbers can be reduced or exceeded depending on where you travel and what your objectives are.
Our total cost of living for almost 6 months was around $3,500 each, which is pretty affordable. So traveling does not have to be expensive as long as you understand your budget.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it really depends on what you value. For example, the entire cost of our 6-month trip is equivalent or almost equivalent to the price of this designer Chanel bag.
Or this gaming scorpion chair, which is crazy to me. Let us know if this was helpful. If you have any questions, please write down in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.